People keep asking if I'm back, and I haven't really had an answer. But now, yeah, I'm thinking I'm back.
What's good, everybody? Thanks for coming back and joining us on the Can I Get Some podcast. As usual, I'm your host, Damien. This is going to be a good show today. This is I guess, the battle of the sexes, if you want to call it something like that, the men versus the women. But hopefully we can come to some armistice where we can get together and kind of figure this out. Like, why are people either so bitter when they get out of relationships, and there are things that we can do to make sure that everybody's better when they get out of relationships, so they can take a better they can take a better part of themselves to the next relationships or whatever situation they get in. So I'm gonna start off by introducing my amazing panel. Ladies first, of course. So what I want you to do is just introduce yourself, say where you're from, if you're single, married, What is that? Is that a dog? That is somebody's dog. If you're single, married, non-traditional relationships, whatever your situation is, and anything else you want to tell about yourself. But let's start off with the ladies first. I'm going to start off with my girl, Queen. How you doing, Queen?
Hey, I'm good. How y'all doing tonight? So basically, my name is Queen. I am from Augusta, Georgia originally, but I live in Atlanta, Georgia. I am a wardrobe stylist, but in my free time, I'm basically a coach. So I help people to master themselves, whether that's in their career, their relationships, and just overall help them with their spiritual journeys. So yeah, thank you for having me tonight, and I look forward to the conversation.
Okay, we're gonna go to Jessica. How you doing? She's been on the show before, so you probably might recognize her. She's always got some great stuff to say. So, Jessica, introduce yourself to the people who might not know who you are.
Hi, I'm Jessica, and in my everyday life, I do mortgage, have for 26 years. And then in my other life, I do my podcast, Tribe Called Jess, on the Wild Style Network, and help build that network and a million other things, promoting and all kinds of stuff. So, and I'm very single, was in a relationship for 7 years and have been single 2 years, and glad I did that.
Queen, I don't remember. Did you say if you're in a relationship or single? What was the status?
Oh, you did ask that question. Sorry.
Yeah.
I'm in a relationship.
Okay, cool. All right. Next, we're going to go to Miss Nikki True. It's hard to believe that's your real name, because I was just watching I Think I Love My Wife maybe a week ago, and I was like, yeah, her name's Nikki True. Is she trying to play?
Oh God, I know. I forgot about that. That's crazy. I forgot about that movie. I was like, are you serious?
What's Nikki? What's going on? Introduce yourself.
I am originally from the Bay Area, and I am now in Southern California in the desert. I am the mother of one kid and lots of fur children, and yeah, that's what I do. Farmer / mother.
Well, we appreciate you coming on. Nikki has been a regular. She's been on basically every show I've had, so she's definitely a regular. I appreciate you coming through and taking the time. All right. Next, we got some newbies for the first time, and I'm gonna do the go to Pata first because she was on time. I'm just messing with you, Erica. So go ahead, Pata, introduce yourself. Let the people know who you are.
I'm Pata. I'm from Louisville, Kentucky. I am not currently available on the dating market, but I'm not sure what's going on. It's kind of a situationship kind of thing, I guess.
Oh, Lord, we don't talk about that.
I can't even call it that. It's undetermined, I guess. What else? I'm not currently working or anything. I'm kind of on a journey of self-rediscovery. So I've taken a hiatus from working, but my background is in financial services. But yeah, I'm happy to be here.
Thank you. We're so happy to have you. All right, and we got the feisty one, Miss Erica here. Appreciate you taking the time to come through. All right, Erica.
I can never get the timing right, but you know, my name is Erica. I guess I'm single, not looking, don't have time. I guess I'm the bitter one. But anyhow, I'm a dental hygienist by trade. I do a lot of things, but I'm a dental hygienist, and yeah, I try to date, but my job doesn't allow it. I'm always traveling, so it is what it is.
Okay. Your job doesn't allow you to, you're not allowed to date?
I travel too much. Like I never study, and then guys are not, insecure and think that, I'm dating someone. I don't know. So.
All right. Well, it's a
Security
pleasure.
issues.
It's a pleasure to have you. Give me a second. Huh?
Jackie's trying to get on. She has the wrong link.
Okay, I'll send her the right one right now. Give it a second, what have you. I'll play some music for you guys while I send her the link. How about that?
There you go. All right, chat. It's guess the bitter person. place the names in the chat.
Who's bitter and who's better? Give me a second while I send this to her.
Is the manic genius a simp? Put twos in it now.
Okay, the beat dropped. Okay, where we going with this?
I feel like I'm in a coffee shop in Oregon. Where they sell like vegan snacks.
All right, this is just for Jackie, and I'm gonna take it down when it comes to.
Oh, this beat has some good layers in this. I like this.
All right, Jackie, that's for you. That's the streamer I like. Is she watching the show?
She was trying to log in.
What's up, Fatty? Hey, Erica, if you'll just send her your link, that should be fine. So I'm gonna keep it moving, or she can reach it. Yeah, just send her your link. All right. So the topic of the day is going to be, have past interactions with the opposite sex, whether it be relationships or just any type of interaction, got you bitter toward the opposite sex, or has it made you give you a better understanding of kind of how to move and how to relate to the opposite sex? That's been coming up a lot because I've been on a bunch of panels, and it just seems like everything is super adversarial. Everything is, women's fault or men's fault, or men ain't shit, women ain't shit. And I just think like if both people, that just means there's a lot of people who ain't shit. So I'm just trying to say, is there ways that we can kind of identify things to do to ensure that when you come out of relationships, you're actually better as opposed to bitter, you know? And so the way we're going to structure it is I got my girl, you guys know I love Saida Khan. I got an interview that she did that gives some good insights on how people get to the point where they're bitter and some of the things that happen like during a relationship and some things you can do in order to ensure that you get out of a relationship more in a better state of mind. All right. So first I want to just ask a general question. I'll start off with Phyllis first. From what you're seeing, whether it be personal interactions or in these streets, are you finding people being a lot more bitter about previous history with the opposite sex, or you think people have gained a better understanding of how to move when it comes to the opposite sex? I'll start with you, Jerk. What do you think?
From I say what I'm kind of experienced are the people like I talk to. I'll say bitterness.
Okay.
Yeah. Do you want me to elaborate a little bit, or you just
whatever you want to do? If you're good with that, I'm good with it.
Well, because I'll say a lot of the bitterness comes from, I think it's people's inability to self-reflect and then kind of break down like maybe what issues they brought to the relationship. So it seems like when you talk to them, they're going to download on the other person, like all the errors that they made, you know, all the issues they have, all the bad personality traits, but they will never self-assess themselves. And I think that's why they're kind of trapped in that cycle of bitterness.
Yeah, I agree with that. There's a lot of that self-reflecting I think got to happen. How about you, DL?
Man, I would say a lot of that it centers around the age of the individuals, right? So I would say with younger folks, they're more better coming out of some of these situations or whatever. And then the older you get, maybe it's because the options maybe not are there as much or whatever. So when you get someone you think is the one and that doesn't work, then it slides into a bitterness. It's like, come on now, like, damn, I thought this was it. Now, you know what I mean? Ugh, what's my other option? And then of course, with technology being the way it is, everyone's looking at everyone else's highlight reel. And they believe that that's real life. You're looking at Instagram or social medias or whatever. So people are comparing their real life situation to this perceived, life that these other people are posting. And, that kind of adds to the bitterness, I think, a little bit because, they're like, man, I don't measure up and, that sort of thing. So, but I would definitely say it's for the older folks, it's more bitterness.
Okay. All right. I'm going to go to you in a minute, Maddox, but I want to introduce our newest guest, first time on the show. I really appreciate it coming through. So Jackie, come on in and up to the front and introduce yourself, like where you're streaming from, what's your relationship status, and anything else interesting you want to tell us about yourself. Go ahead, Jackie.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. Sorry, I'm a little late. Technical
You're
difficulties. So I'm based in Orlando, Florida, and I am 38. I'm in a relationship. I'm a realtor. I'm also in technology. And I'm just having fun, living my life, doing all the things that I can do before I exit this beautiful world.
Thank you. We appreciate you coming through. Thank you so much.
Having me.
All right, no problem. All right, what about you, Genius?
I think for the most part better, because I think it's really open to everyone's interpretation on what they receive on the internet. So someone like myself, I take everything with a grain of salt. I don't really believe in absolute truths, as you guys all may know. I will debate on the most stupidest of shit. This is kind of how I roll. So I think it's better for the most part because, when you understand where the information is coming from, you can make an assessment if you want to apply it to your life.
Okay. That's what's up, man. All right. Nikki True. So you're up. What do you think? People are more bitter or better when it comes to their interaction with after with their interaction with the opposite sex? You're on mute, Nikki. Nikki, you're on mute.
I I unmuted. Okay, so sorry. I think somebody said something about age. Saint, maybe I think said something about age. I think the older you get, maybe the more better you can be, maybe the more experiences you've had. Or if you've just had a really terrible experience. But for myself personally, I felt like I realized I actually was becoming pretty bitter. You say bitter Betty. No offense to anyone named Betty. But I think it just all depends on the situation, and you have to really sit down and take a look in the mirror and see why you're letting somebody else's I don't know what the word I'm looking for is, but
Shit.
whatever they did
Their
to you,
opinion.
you're holding. If you're bitter, you're holding on to that anger. You got to let go of that. So I don't know.
Okay.
I can only really speak for myself. Yeah.
Okay. And that's fine. Like, I don't want people to, and I think people get stuck trying to figure out what the masses are thinking. If you just want to talk about from your own personal experiences, that's completely valid, and I'll accept that as well, because it's probably more than
I'm speaking for all.
people than you know. I was like, for
I'm
everybody.
speaking for all bald-headed beige people. I'm speaking for them.
Boy, beige with a GI Joe shirt on. You speak.
That's it. Yo, Joe.
How about
Stalker
how
right here.
about you, Potter? How you doing? What do you think?
What was the actual question again?
I was like, do you feel like, most people, or even if yourself, like I said, let's kind of put it to like a individual level if you want, are more bitter when they come out of relationships, or you think they've gotten better at understanding the opposite sex so they can really bring in the things necessary to make a better choice for the next person that they're going to be with?
So the few people that I've encountered, I guess while dating and such, for the most part, it's better. But I think a lot of people that are more vocal about, hating men or hating women, kind of create a false illusion of, everyone being super bitter and not trying to be better. Myself, I tend to gravitate, I guess, more towards being in like a constant state of growth, I guess. So I like to think that I'm better, but I do catch myself sometimes being bitter of certain things. But I think overall, your perception of the world is really just a projection of yourself. So a lot of that, self-love and improvement and such really comes into play with stuff like this.
Okay. What's up? How about you, Jessica?
I have a lot to say.
Let it fly.
So at 49, being older and being single at 47, this is the least bitter I've ever been. I don't think I've ever really come out of a relationship bitter. I think being bitter is a choice and you only hurt yourself. And I've always had that mindset. I'm not letting another human take away my livelihood or my positivity on any level. And it's hard to think like that. I 100% agree with self-reflection. I will say, Saint, that in the good old line of Taylor Swift, I'm pissed off you let me give you all this youth for free. So there I'm a little bit upset that does come into play. But I think more than ever on the internet, people are using the word level up, and you have the tools and access, especially on TikTok, to a lot of good advice on how not to be, how to self-reflect, how to become self-aware. And that's a choice, right? Dating is a shit show. I'll be the first to say that. But at the same time, as long as you're, what's the word I'm looking for? Intentional in dating. And I've become very intentional. It sounds evolved, but it's the truth. And asking good questions. I mean, then the right people will fall into play. And if I'm the right person for those people that I'm seeking, then that's going to happen for me. So I think I'm better than ever. I feel blessed. I can look at it as I'm 49 now and oh shit, or look at it as like, God, thank God I'm 49 and have all this wisdom. And I hope that the viable 20, 30, 40 years I have left, depending on medical science, I'm going to make them the best ever. No one's taking that away from me.
That's what's up. All right. How about you, Queen?
From my personal experience, I would say I've gotten better. The thing is, I would say it took me a long time to actually figure out how to maneuver relationships just because relationships wasn't a thing that I learned from my childhood as far as like how a healthy relationship is supposed to go. So of course, if you get into something and it's not modeled for you, of course, you're not going to know how to navigate that space. So for me, it was a lot of trial and error. So with that trial and error, you learn, and then it's like, okay, how can I be better? So I think once I took that approach, versus like I feel like it'll be a lot of people in relationships, and then they'll hear something from one person. It's like, okay, well, you're told multiple times that you're selfish by multiple partners that you've dated. Okay, at some point you got to say, oh, am I really selfish? Like maybe let me do a little self-reflection. Let me become self-aware. So it's like those type of things, and remembering what was actually told by your other past partners. Those are some of the things that probably were your weaknesses and things that you could probably work on. So that's how I look at it.
I like that a lot. All right. How about you, Erica?
You know what? I'm going to have to say yes to everything Jessica said because I feel the same way at this stage of my life. I am at my best stage, and I don't know if it's bitterness, but it's hard for me to even think to try to have a relationship because I'm like, I am happy the way I am, and it's a blast. I have a blast. And it's like almost I don't want to allow someone else in my life because I'm worried that they're gonna ruin it. So I guess that's the part where it could be a little bit bitter. But overall, I can honestly say my previous relationship has made me better because I've learned a lot about myself and my mistakes and who I am. But I wouldn't say I'm bitter because my last person I dated or whatever that was, it was a shit show for sure. I mean, I could write a book. That said, Jackie's laughing. She's like, yes. But that said,
Wait, I was gonna say I didn't say that we knew each other. We know
Yeah.
each other very well.
Yeah.
They know it.
She laughed. She went for her popcorn. But I'm gonna say, even though that lasted a short period because it ended like a shit show, I enjoyed it, and I always tell my friends, you know what? It probably lasted 2.5 months or 3, but I had a blast. So I was sad one day. The next day, I was like, you know what? It was worth it the little time that it lasted. So, I mean, I think I've become better understanding myself and what life brings. But we could all be honest and be like, at times we could be a little bit better. You know, we are like get mad, but then it's like we become better as we get older. I don't know if it's necessary the relationship, but as we get older, we get better at living life.
Okay. I agree with that. I know Jerry got something. Who's that? Genius got something to say.
Yeah, because I wasn't sure what she was saying.
What'd you say?
What's that?
What
I said I wasn't sure. I wasn't sure if you were saying that as you get older, you get more bitter or better. You were saying you get.
I know my accent, right?
Yeah. Well, no, I don't know if it's your accent. I just didn't hear it.
As I get
tell.
older, I definitely feel like I've gotten better. But
Better.
at times, we could all be a little bitter, right? Like, let's be honest.
Okay, so do you
I
feel
bet
like
not you, but
with age? So you feel like with age though you get more bitter too, or you're saying
better. No,
better?
not more bitter. You get better, and
Okay.
you're like, you really don't care. It's like, oh, okay, well, okay, move on. Me personally, I don't know.
Oh, okay.
Okay. How about you, Jackie?
Erica, you took the words right out of my mouth. I feel like we're all crazy if we don't say that we have been bitter coming out of a relationship. Everybody has been bitter because at one point or another, you really wanted that relationship to work, right? And then when it doesn't, then you have the thoughts of what didn't go right and how did I contribute and how could I have been better? And you start to reflect on all of the conversations and the fights and all the things, right? And I think that's actually how you get better, is through the bitterness, because that's where you're learning, right? I had a really long-term relationship, and that was the most bitter breakup of my life. I love that man to death, but we were not meant to be, right? We were not meant for each other. And Jessica, you mentioned something about leveling up. That's actually what happened to me. I was sitting in like purgatory. I was either going to go like in a great direction, or I was just going to like continue with this relationship that was not serving me. And so once I let it go, like I just changed everything in my life. So I feel like through that bitterness, I absolutely got better. And you
All
should.
right.
I feel like that's the trajectory of breaking up with people, is like learning what not to do again, and what you love about yourself and what you don't want to repeat, right?
Yeah. I just want to highlight something that Potter said. There's a difference between hurt, disappointment, and bitter. I think those things can lead to a bitterness. You know, you can be hurt in the moment, you can be disappointed in the moment, but bitterness, I think, isn't something that happens. It's not a one time, or I think it's a longer connotation to it. Like, this is the way your general state of understanding, of state of being, is bitter toward the other state. I think hurt, disappointed, those things can go away with time, for the most part, quicker than I think bitterness can. Let me go ahead and show what's up to our boy Will, the man who brought us all together. What's up, Will? We appreciate you. All right. You know, I'm going to play Saida Khan because I really agree. She can say the way I feel about it a lot more eloquently than I ever will. You know, so I'm going to play her, and then we can kind of talk about the things she said as relates to the topic that we're talking about right now. Hold on a second.
Prevalent thing that you notice in failed relationships today?
I would say the number one cause, or the number one denominator in most failed relationships, is they are using another person to meet what their unmet needs were in their childhood. And what I mean by this is, when relationships break down, it's usually because maybe somebody grew up without financial stability. So they use a partner who has financial stability, take, and they're not there for valid reasons. Or let's say when a boy maybe grew up a little bit lonely, or didn't have access to very many beautiful women, and just want to be with her because she's beautiful, not if she's compatible or not. So when relationships usually break down, is when they haven't really realized what has been the driving force for selecting that partner. And they're using a person to kind of heal themselves, when that's not really what we need. What we need to do is kind of reflect on that ourselves and make sure we're not picking a partner based on our ego and our broken needs, and actually basing it on character and connection.
All right. Pull that down. Now, I wanted to highlight that because I think that's a very strong point she made. She was like, here's the simple things you do that can lead to, at the end of a relationship, bitter. If you're engaging and getting with people for the wrong reason, you know, for it to feel something that outside of a relationship, like she was saying, if you know, never had access to beautiful women, and all of a sudden you have a beautiful woman, or you never had access to money or any specific thing, you could use somebody for that, to fill that hole. But then when it ends, it's possible that you can feel this real sense of disappointment, and which can lead to bitterness, because even you weren't able to fulfill that thing you've been, or fill that hole you've been trying to fill for a long time. That's kind of how I felt about it. Anybody else got anything or takeaways from what Saida just said in that clip?
I do.
Go ahead, Jessica.
So I love her. I don't always agree with her, and I've chatted with her before, and she's awesome. One thing I like that she talks about, and a few other psychologists I follow, is, and one thing I've worked really hard on, is letting go of ego as it comes to relationships. Because once your ego is involved, and that's really hard to do, and you have to be very aware of it, whether that's in talking to men and talking to friends. You know, when we let go of ego, real raw things come out. And you're more accepting and you're more intentional. You're asking better things of people. And I love that she says that in that. And then you're having conversations with people based off, you know, what are those true characteristic versus this need from them of something, she says unhealed wound. It's extreme, but yes, you know, I really like when she talks about the ego and how to let go of that.
Yep.
I think it's important.
Anybody else?
Yeah, I do. There was one point that she made about the take. And I think that's definitely a big component, especially tying into the topic of bitterness. Because I do think like once people get through a tough relationship, that person that they truly, I'll say like loved and liked, I think a lot of people like hold on to that bitterness. And it's just like anybody else that comes after that, it's almost like they're in their mindset, they're coming into those like subsequent relationships, like on a take mentality versus like that reciprocal relationship. So I think a lot of times that's what tends to happen. Why, like, I was looking at the divorce rates since we were looking at it like last weekend or Friday, and the second and third, you know, divorce is like high as hell. But it's just like people seem to almost take advantage of the people after that first relationship where they came in with true love. So definitely that taker mentality.
Yeah, and just to piggyback off that, I think whenever you have, you know, a failed relationship, whether it's, you know, a relationship that you really enjoyed, the person that you really loved, or even a marriage and you're, you know, ended in divorce, I think it can sometimes warp your mentality. And if you have a warped mentality, you might start to look at your subsequent relationships, as the jerk was saying, you know, rather than for the things that you looked in your initial relationships. Like maybe in your initial relationships, you know, put more emphasis on character and values, and, you know, you were open and receptive to love. But after having such a negative experience, you know, your subsequent relationships, you kind of have like a wall on that access to that, you know, love and all that other nice shit. So you're just on some, what can I get out of this situation? So it kind of puts you in that space as a taker. And what can this person actually provide for me in my life, instead of being open and and more receptive. So that kind of goes back to you know, as you age and have more experiences that are negative, does that make you more bitter? And I think it does.
Do you think that scenario that you just explained, do you think that person can come out of that, like truly and genuinely?
Absolutely. But it takes a lot of work. I know we all talked about taking some self-reflection, but I would take it even a step further into deep introspection, which, you know, kind of attacks or takes a look, a hard focus into your core values and kind of establishing the foundation there.
Okay.
You're right about that too, bro. I mean, having to deal with stuff like if you're in a situation long term, you had children involved, you know, divorce, or you find yourself in a family court system, well, you want to talk about bitterness. That's when it really manifests itself, bro. You know what I mean? So I get you there. And I think someone was asking, like, can you come back from that? I think someone was either in the chat or on the panel. I think the answer is yes, but it takes a while. I mean, it's hard work to get, depending on how deep the cut was. Yeah, you come back from it, but it takes time.
Yeah. I want to address something that Mr. Stanley Joseph said. It was like, isn't that what relationships are for, to fill voids? Potter has been engaging with him. So I'm just curious, anybody else got a different take on that? Are we getting a relationship to fill voids? Do people agree with that sentiment, or does somebody have any pushback on that?
I think relationships, sorry, I know I already responded to him and everything, but I think you should technically go into a relationship already whole. Like if you still have things to work on, you can't necessarily show up as you know, who you need to. And granted, like life experiences do give you, you know, I guess like the wisdom, and you learn about yourself and all that jazz, but you shouldn't be using relationships or anything but yourself to fill a void. So it's really about just being honest with yourself, I guess. But yeah.
Okay. Go ahead, Erica.
I wanted to mention something that she said. It was really important, and we tend to forget it, ignore, and it's the most important. Is
I wonder
look,
too. Oh, go ahead.
look into her childhood traumas, like she mentioned. Like whatever you didn't get when you were a child, you're gonna seek as an adult. So that is a part of us that we have to heal in order for us to be in a healthy relationship. So if our father wasn't there for us, we're gonna seek that man that's similar to our dad, and or those behaviors, we're gonna repeat them until we learn to heal from that, and then we're gonna be better human beings and be better for a partner and be wholes, like you mentioned.
I think it's important to, sorry, because I think the big thing today, with the childhood traumas and everything, that's such, I feel like everyone stops paying attention after that is mentioned. But it really is what shapes us. But since we're talking about being bitter and better, a lot of people are still so bitter about how they were raised and the trauma that their dad or their mom caused them and everything. So it's like, that's definitely a good starting point, really.
Yeah, and that's why I agree. Let me just give a shout out to what's up, Poppy Blanco. He's always a family friend to the show. So what's up, Poppy? Let me get out of here. Who we just lost?
True, Miss True.
Oh, she'll come back.
Nikki True.
She always
Damien,
has
can
back.
I say something on that point?
No, you can't. No, of course you can't. Go ahead.
Fair,
Go ahead,
fair
Jessica.
statement. One of the jokes I said on the podcast about a year ago, I said, when you get in a real relationship, what's your first date? And I said, couples counseling, right? And it's a joke, but I'm not joking to a point, because while I agree we need to come whole and healing, look, shit keeps happening. And healing is an ongoing journey. And I call it your own fatal flaws, right? There's things about me that I work really hard on, but I have to get really honest with the next person that I'm going to have a relationship, which I haven't been able to do in the past because I was shamed for it. I have a fear of abandonment. I know it. I've worked on it, but I'm going to have to get real honest and let that partner know how I need to interact in that way to have that cohesive relationship that can last based on that fear. So I think we have to also, when we're choosing partners, get really honest, and that's not easy. It's definitely not easy for me.
Okay. Thanks for sharing
That's real. Yeah, that's real talk. I tell young guys, when young guys come to me, I tell those guys, like, hey man, they're like, oh, I just had this breakup, and they want to go out. Like, nah, you gotta get your head right, bro. If you're going out here after this situation, you're still dealing with, your head's not right, man. You're gonna make it way worse. Like, just take some time. Piece it together.
You ever seen a dude who go out right after the thing and they get turned down by a woman? Oh my God, they hate women for the next 2 years.
I've seen the opposite. I've seen that, but I've also seen the opposite. I've seen guys who go out there and know what they're doing with womanizing, and they because they're not seeing the full picture, they wind up. You talk about coming out of the frying pan into the fire. You know what I mean? It's like I've seen both sides. I've seen both ways, and it's like, bro, step back, get your head right, man. Go find a hobby or something. You ain't ready.
Yeah. Let me share some love real quick. Shout out to my girl Brosia. I appreciate you coming through. I know you got the kids and what have you. So if you ever want to come up, just let me know. You are 100% always welcome here. That's Big Brosia from she's an old school person who's been rocking with me for a long time. Appreciate you. And then we got to give a shout out to man, Angry Ginger. What's up in the house? Progressive Matters. I appreciate you. I'm not saying that. That's what his handle used to be, was the Angry Ginger. So it's not me just saying that about him. I just want to say this cat is a solid cat. So if you go subscribe to his channel, Progressive Matters. He's a solid cat. And then Miss Jennifer Schultz. She's always been showing love for my show for a while. Appreciate you coming through. And I don't know who Ocean is, but hold on a second. I don't know who Ocean is, but Ocean, I appreciate the love coming through. All right, Big Brosia, thanks for it. Okay, you definitely will. All right. So anybody else got to say before I interrupted you guys? It seemed like people were on a nice little flow there, and I apologize for interrupting it to show some love to the people in the chat.
I was just going to say,
mention,
go ahead, Jackie.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say something about, like, when you come to somebody to fill that void, eventually you're going to burn that other person out. So that's why, you got to come to somebody pretty much complete, because like I think people tend to forget, man, there's like two people in that relationship. And then, you know, just with the way society set up, you know, with the economics, everybody's just kind of burnt out with work and whatever different factors that, you know, could impact us. You know, I think adding that extra void, you know, a lot of times, you know, that's what destroys a lot of relationships, because people just can't take on all those other burdens along with other ones and stuff. So I think that does burn out a lot of people.
Go ahead, Jackie.
Yeah, sorry about that, Jackie.
No, it's all good. Are you mute?
I don't think she knows we're talking to her. Jackie.
Jackie, it's you.
Sorry, I think no, I was just gonna say, I don't know if like we're ever really 100% complete, right? I think Jessica kind of alluded a little bit to it. So I think we can try to come as completely as we can. But I think in like the reality of things, you just really have to work on self-awareness, not necessarily be a complete person, but be self-aware of your weaknesses, of maybe your partner's triggers. Because very quickly when you're dating somebody, you start to kind of understand, you know, what they like, what they don't like. And I think it's easy to kind of play on those things.
Okay. Were you hearing what we were saying, Nikki?
I was having some issues with my audio. Sorry.
It's all good. Were you able to hear what we were talking about? We're talking about somebody put in the chat that, you know, isn't that what relationships are about? Finding somebody to fill your voids in a relationship. And a lot of people, the sentiment seems like be that you need to be pretty much fully formed and have close to it as possibly can before you decide to get into a relationship and expect somebody to fill some voids inside of you. What is your opinion on that?
Well, maybe it depends on what the void is. You shouldn't complete my life, but do I have a void for like being lonely as a void, wanting a partner? That could be a void too.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I guess it depends the way you look at it.
Okay. I just feel like it puts a lot of pressure on that person, the other person. I think what it is I feel like it should be like two candles coming in to light a candle. You know, the candles don't diminish themselves by lighting another candle. It's like you come in, you're adding to that person's life without, you know, but you still remain a fully formed person. You're not like, okay, I'm going to add to you, take away from me, and hopefully that you'll add to me. Because a lot of times I think people end up resentful or they're disappointed because the person they're giving what they want to the person, and then they have this expect that the person, if I'm going to give you what you want, you should be wanting to give me what I need as well. And I think a lot of people end up disappointed with that. I think you should be like, okay, there are things you can add to my life, but if I don't get those things, I'm going to be okay. You know, and then you may just not be the one to add to them, because a lot of times people hold on to people, even bad people, and be like, you know, this is my one time to get it. Feel like one of the examples, like if the person had money and you never had access to money, if you get a rich person, you'll put up with so much bullshit because they have money. Or on a transverse, if you get with a beautiful woman, you never had a beautiful woman, you'll put up so much bullshit because you're with a beautiful woman. And then instead of you feeling whole, you're feeling diminished all the time, because of all the bullshit you got to push him to hold on to these things. That's what I feel. That's what I'm taking from what she was saying. I think those things should, you need to really compartmentalize and say, okay, how important is those things? Are those things just things that would be nice, or are things I need in order to feel better about myself or better about where I'm at in life? I think that's where the whole fully formed thing comes into play. I don't know. It's just I don't expect my wife to fill every void that I got, because, you know, there might be voids I might not even aware of, and I can't just be springing shit on her like, oh shit, you know, I didn't know that this was something that I needed, and now I'm expecting you to, you know, to fill it, you know, and I don't think it's just fair to the other person, because we discover new shit about ourselves all the time. So, all right. So what I want to do is the second part. So now she broke it down into two different things. It was like, I think the first part pertains to, like, you know, women and how it can lead to bitterness. And the second part is going to be about how men can lead to bitterness. So I'm going to play some more Saida. Pull her up here.
With breakups, what would be the best thing to do? You know, you have one person that may be going on Tinder or using bodies to kind of cope, whereas the other person might focus on themselves and hunker down and focus on work or whatever it might be. What is the best way to go around that?
I think the best way to heal from a breakup is take complete and utter accountability. Where people go wrong is they start Googling how their ex was a narcissist or how they were such a victim, and then they over-identify as a victim. And when you over-identify as a victim, you can't actually select better in the future. You'll still see yourself as somebody who was just used and abused, and you label yourself as that, and then therefore you can't actually heal. The better thing to do is think, this was entirely my fault, even if it wasn't. Yeah, sometimes we have terrible partners. Even if it wasn't, we change it to, it was entirely my fault because I probably accepted unacceptable behavior, or I probably ignored some red flags, or I probably knew I couldn't handle this part of that personality and I still went forward. So you make it entirely your fault, and then you think, okay, how do I prevent this from happening in the future? Well, I'm going to prevent it by making sure I do X, Y, and Z. And then that way you'll be a little bit more confident going into dating again in the future. Where people go wrong is they don't reflect on that. They focus entirely on their ex-partner, and then they use other people, or they use drugs or alcohol or something as a coping mechanism, and then they still feel like they've lost control of their life. They still feel like a victim and they still feel broken. Best thing to do is take complete ownership. It's okay to get it wrong sometimes, but how do we learn from this and how do we improve?
All right. Now that was strong. I think that was a super strong thing she said there. Anybody got any takes on her before I jump in there? Anybody got anything to say about what she just said about you just look at it, it was like it was entirely your fault?
She's spot on.
I went through it.
Go ahead, DL.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, like I would say she's spot on. And you know, I don't know if it's the military background, or I don't know, it's because I did a career as an air traffic controller. I worked in situations where it was my fault. And that's how I just let that roll into the private life. It's like, well, I chose her. I pursued her. You know, we did what we did. At the end of the day, if this doesn't work out, it's my fault. And like you said, you might ignore certain things. You ignore the red flags. You might ignore, whatever. And then so many people just, in my opinion, so many people don't want to do that. It's, I'm the victim. It's your fault. Like you did me this way and you set me up. It's like, man, none of this would have happened if like in my case, none of this would have happened if I didn't step to her. I stepped to her. You know what I mean? None of this wouldn't have happened if, when she stepped to me, I walked away from the situation. So I think she's right. I think more people need to take accountability.
All right, go ahead, Jessica.
I just resonate so much with that I accept an unacceptable behavior. Don't take it wrong. I also took accountability for other parts in my 7-year relationship that broke down. But that was a big one, right? And when I learned after my whole life of not realizing how to set really healthy boundaries in all aspects of my life, set a standard for myself that were achievable for people, but they were standards for me that I value, that I need about me. The way a lot of people disappeared from my life too when I started doing that. But God, it makes all the difference. Accountability and setting boundaries and really knowing what that means, because I didn't even know what that meant. I would preach it, but I didn't do it. It's what she said is so spot on.
Okay. How about you, Queen?
I would agree with that. Definitely the accountability and setting boundaries, because in my beginning dating experiences, it was very green. I didn't start really dating until college. When you put men ain't shit on the thing, sorry if I get cussed, but
you can cuss, it's all good. I'm gonna cuss 1,000,000 times, I guarantee it.
When you put that on there, I'm like, this is kind of all I heard all my childhood. So if that's kind of like in my environment and I'm hearing that over and over again, that's gonna be what I think my experience is gonna be with men. So being where I'm from, it was just mainly like guys who were drug dealers or guys who were, a certain type of guy. So it's like, if that's my environment, that's all my options. You know what I'm saying? So it's one of those things where once I went off to college, now I'm in a different environment. I'm seeing different guys. I'm seeing other people. So how do I relate to those type of guys when that's all I was around? So my thing is, it took me a while to get to that place because I had to go through trial and error with learning. So it's one of those things where, like the dating experiences, I think I said this before, but it's one of those things that actually takes skill. And I had to learn it. I have all brothers. So a lot of the things that I learned from them also was like an avoidant way. So I was a person who wasn't affectionate. These are all things that I had to learn how to do because I'm like, if I want to be in a relationship, that's somebody's love language. Like I have to learn how to do those type of things. So it's just one of those things where it's a big learning curve. And if you're not willing to learn that, then how can you expect for your relationship experiences to get better if you don't want to step out of your comfort zone and be better?
Okay. Jerk, you got anything to say about it?
No, I think she covered everything in the video. And everybody had some good points. I just wanted to say me and Man of Genius did burn a copy of the 5 love languages. So
I saw that. You guys are crazy. Pada, you got anything you want to add to it?
No, I think boundaries are a big one. Because I think resentment kind of goes right along with bitterness. And I think anyone that I have been resentment or like have built a resentment towards, it's not someone who I've like bent my boundaries for continuously. So
you feel like you're better at that now than you were in the past?
For sure.
Okay. How about you, Erica? What you got to say?
I have to say accountability is the most important because we have to learn, right, from our mistakes and understand where we went wrong. And the most important thing is when we go into another relationship, and sometimes I'm like, oh, God put this in my life to see if I learned from the last experience. And that's how I kind of see it. It's like, okay, am I able to now where I'm at to identify this is wrong and I shouldn't accept this in my life because I learned it in the past. So I think the part where she said is like, okay, blame yourself because you allow it. Exactly that. If you continue allowing the same behaviors and not learning, you're going to keep getting yourself in these ugly situations and allowing men to treat you the way you don't deserve. So taking accountability, learning, and making sure you don't repeat them. You know, it's the most important thing that we need to do in order to be happy and not become bitter. But better, Manic.
Got singled out. She called you out. Genius.
I just want to make sure he understands.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Yo entiendo.
Okay. How about you, Jackie? You got anything you want to add to it?
No, I mean, I think the ladies said it pretty perfectly, like setting your boundaries. But again, it's all a learning process, right? But you being able to recognize like the lessons, that's going to be most important because we're literally going through them on a daily basis. But like the reflection piece is always what I come back to because that's what I do all the time, right? Like when I feel myself possibly repeating different or past behaviors, I'm like, shit. You know, like I'm understanding like what my trigger is in that moment. What did he say that like, you know, made me feel a certain way to like provoke me, right? He might not be doing it on purpose. It's just something that's in me that I need to recognize, right? So it's a lot of like, yes, setting your boundaries, but also understanding that not everybody is out to get you or out to do you wrong. It's also sometimes the internal piece that you really have to just continuously work on a daily basis because no relationship is perfect. And if it was, we wouldn't be here. But it is important to, you know, just to continue to think about like to be an active thinker in your relationship and not to, you know, fall to the wayside and just be like, oh, that's just who he is. Oh, that's just who I am. No, you know, why am I feeling this way? What was said? And kind of learning from that each time, literally each time. Like a kid doesn't learn immediately, right? A dog doesn't learn immediately. Like they continue to repeat mistakes until one day it clicks. So.
All right. How about you, Nikki?
What can I say that everyone didn't say already, though? I agree with everyone. Boundaries is a huge thing that I had to work on. And I feel like the older I've gotten, the wiser I've gotten, and I know what I will and won't tolerate, and I can see the flags, whatever color they may be, from a mile away. I say, okay, I see where this person is in life. Been there, done that. And I'm okay with that at this point. I think somebody was saying, like, the filling the voids. I think I've been in that situation before where you wanted something so bad you were willing to accept something that wasn't good for you. You let that boundary be crossed. So yeah, I mean, I agree with pretty much everything that everyone is saying. Boundaries are huge for me at this point.
I got a quick question.
Go ahead, Jesus.
Because I'm hearing everybody kind of saying the same thing as far as you get older and you experience different things, you become more wiser and a better judge of character and better able to assess things. But I don't know if it's a contradiction to just the state as you get older and being less compatible with people, or I guess my question really is, as you age and have more experiences, does that make you less compatible with people? Because I kind of feel like after a certain point, if you're not putting up with any shit, right? You know, that's more of a question. Yeah. So does anybody want to see? Jessica wants to
I
respond.
do, because I did something on this, and I'm going to do another show on it, that you almost become to a point. I noticed this with myself, and I'll take accountability. So self-aware that I'm reflecting now, and I use it a little bit as a self-sabotage tool out of fear of getting in a relationship and am I going to screw it up? So I disagree with it that you just won't put up with anything, you become uncompatible. But I also can see in myself where all of a sudden I was like, whoa, it's starting to go the other side, where I'm like, oh, red flag in my head, not calling it out and being like, wait a sec, that's not a red flag. And I think Jackie said something really good. Identifying your own red flags is so key. And recognizing them. Is that a red flag in me? And if somebody's triggering that, how are they triggering it and why? Because is that the type of person you won't be compatible with, or exactly what you're saying, Jackie? And it's super hard. Super hard.
Yeah. And just really quick, Jessica, I appreciate you for being vulnerable and discussing your own personal experiences with that question. With that being said, being able to point out red flags super quick, do you think it becomes a point to where you're catching red flags before you even get a chance to know the person, because you're assessing that it's a red flag when it may not necessarily be a red flag? Because, at the end of the day, not everybody operates the same way. Some people will give you their representative and make you find those red flags versus, people who are a little bit more mature and understanding of dating dynamics and, longevity of relationships. They may come to you with like, here's all my shit on the table from the get-go. So if somebody's giving you that, you may say, oh, that's a red flag, when it actually may not be a red flag. So what's your take?
I would love, so when somebody comes to me with complete honesty, like I'm going on a date this weekend, it's because somebody came to me with complete honesty. I felt comfortable with honesty. But I will say I'm able to identify things that definitely my 30-something-year-old self would not identify. And that's come through age and wisdom, where I'm like, okay, total player, F-boy, and 99% of the time I've been pretty right. And same with my guy friends that are my age, right? They can identify, gold diggers in women. I'm like, in my head, I'm like, oh, gold digger. And they're like, no, I like her. And then they're like, yeah, gold digger. You know what I mean? So I think age brings a good wisdom, but also I agree with your first point going back that you have to be careful not to let this self-awareness become self-sabotaging.
I think.
Go ahead. Let me get DL jump in here first real quick.
I would say the answer to your question, brother, the short answer is yes. You know what I mean? Yes. and when
that's what I was looking for.
It is what it is. It is what it is. And then when I talk to younger guys, like in these YouTube streets or whatever, doing our thing, I'll tell them, I'm like, bro, the sooner you find someone that you can build with, the person is going to work for you. The younger you are, the better the better the odds, that it is going to work. However, the marriage rate is still around 50% divorce rate. So, you know what I mean? It is what it is. But I think as a younger person, it works better. The older we get, like you said, man, we start to see things and it is what it is. I'm in my 50s. So, you know, I'm not one of those guys who have checked out completely, but I'm definitely on the bench. The game is playing. I'm sitting here. I'm sitting next to the coach. You know what I mean? I'm not even trying to get in. Don't call my number, coach. I ain't ready to get in the game yet. So you got that. What's going on, sis? What's going on, Erica?
The odds 50-50. This is really interesting. We have 4 guys in the panel, right? 50-50. Numbers don't lie. There's 2 married and 2 single. Right? We have two married in the panel and 2 single. So I guess the numbers don't lie. In answering your question, Manic, I'm gonna go and tell you, yes, the older we get, the more bullshit we live. We are like, ugh, I don't want to be bothered. You're right. We do become like,
You don't want your peace disturbed.
yes.
Jaded. Does that work?
Guarded.
Guarded. You see, whatever word you will like to
Mentality
use, but
warped.
it's true. It's true. Like if I see a person that is, you still have your mama, baby dad, like not baby daddy. You're still living where did your ex, and you have kids, and then she's calling you all the time. Like we will find anything to be like, I don't want to deal with that problem. So yeah, it becomes a little bit harder as you get older.
Yeah,
and
I
better.
think that's
Until you get
understandable.
older.
I think that's understandable, Erica.
I
I
don't
agree with
think
that.
It definitely gets
I mean, that's a standard. I want to go travel. I make my own money, and I want somebody to do
Mhm.
that. That's my
I know,
standard.
I know
I don't-
Jackie wanted to jump here real quick. Let's
Oh,
get
sorry.
Jackie in here.
No, I mean, it's kind of funny because I feel like we're all pretty spot on here. Like, but one thing that got me thinking, I don't know what somebody said that triggered this, but like energies, like as you get older, like somebody's vibe is not correct, like with yours, like in dating. And that can even like completely throw it off. As you get older, I feel like we are so much more aware of people's like presence and like their intention. They don't even have to say anything and you kind of know already. So it's like, it's so crazy because it's not just the spoken word or like, the things that they're doing for you. It's just the energy that they bring even that can bother you.
Yeah,
Which is so messed up as we get older.
Before you go, Jack,
Like,
let me get
Okay.
Pot in here. I know she was trying to say something.
I don't
And I
think
see
age
you-
has anything to do with any of this. I put that in the chat.
Yeah, I saw that.
I think, life experience, like you can experience so much by the age, like by the time you're 30, but not have experienced anything close to that when you're 60. And it's all about like your level of self-awareness and how you're actually navigating and like how honest and actually like human that you're, carrying yourself through life. I know you can be more wise as you get older, and certain things like you don't really understand until like your brain has the capacity to do so. And that comes with age, of course. But I think when it all comes down to it, age is nothing but a number here.
Let me just, before I respond, I want to respond to that. Shout out to Storm. What's up, Storm? We appreciate you coming through. What's up, girl? All right, let me jump in here on that. I think you're completely and totally wrong. I think age has so much to do with it because those experiences come with age. It's like you have to live for a certain amount of time to have varied experiences where you can take those experiences and mold them and shape them into what you feel and what you believe and how you're going to react to shit. So it definitely has, yes. The way I would react to stuff at 25, it's like the same thing. It's totally different the way I react with somebody at 50. At 25, let me just use this as an example because this is something. At 25, if somebody came up to try to say something to me and I felt like it was disrespectful, I want to fight him. At 50, unless they physically make me feel like they are about to hit or it's going to be this physical thing, I probably am not going to initiate any physical thing and then probably going to try to talk my way out of it. And with the time, because of my age, I probably would be successful in talking my way out of a situation because I wouldn't let my emotions, which I've learned to probably control a lot better over time, dictate how I react to certain situations. And I think the same can be said in relationships. And so transversely, like I won't put up with as much as I have to because I'm very much the Mr. Protect my peace more than I was. I was, it's let's create war. Now it's about protecting my peace as I've gotten older. So that I think age definitely does play, and that comes with age. Yes, experiences can happen, but I guarantee you have a wider berth of things to pick from and when you with age than you do from 30. Like I said, I have significantly more experiences and I'm more aware of consequences as well with my the older I got than I was when 30, and I care about them more because I have more to lose. Yeah, now. So the consequences are more significant to me than I was when they were 25, 30 years old. So age, I don't think it's nothing but a number in this circumstance. Welcome back, Jackie. We missed you.
Yeah, I would say that I would add to that too. Like as you get older, like a lot of the sisters out there who are older, like my age range or close to it, or maybe a little above my age range. The one common theme you hear is like all these dudes, they're just trying to smash. Yeah, right. And then like so that if you got a guy who's not doing that, why is it the guys who want relationships aren't engaging? Because they're thinking it all the way through to the end. It's like, man, it's more than a 50% chance that this isn't going to work anyway. So why waste my time? And I mean, I used to jump out of airplanes once upon a time. If you told me it was a 50% chance that my parachute was not going to work, I was still going to jump, right? I just want to pick my own parachute. You know what I mean? Because we're airborne. We just like that, bro. We ain't gonna stop. But I want to I want to go. I want that one over there. Put that down. I want that one over there. Let me dig this parachute out. I want to, you know what I mean? And as you get older, it's like, man, is it worth the risk? And again, the elbow was that guy, like the ladies were saying here, like, I'm peaceful. This is cool. Is it worth the risk? And there are guys out there who are just like, man, all I want to do is smash anyway. They're not even thinking about a relationship. They're gonna, say what they got to say to get what they want, and then they're off to the next one. So again, all that comes into play on both sides.
Yeah, and just to tackle, I just wanted to tackle Manic's question real quick. I think when we get older too, we don't like to admit it. We're still chasing desires, and we're also picky as hell, and we're less tolerant. So it's like when you factor all this stuff, we're protective too. So when you're, it's like a recipe for disaster. So really, that's what's happening when you start getting older.
Yeah, I've realized something. I realized something. I'll be 50 in December. I may have 30 good summers left, maybe 25 good quality summers left, probably in order to like really enjoy that. So I protect that, the idea of that, like viciously. I protect that. I'm very protective of my peace for the remainder of these few summers that I have left. So yeah, I think, and that's come with age, because 20 years ago I could give a shit. 50 was a 1,000 years away when I was 30 years old. Mm-hmm. So
you put it that way, I'm gonna jump out of a plane tomorrow.
Hey, you got me counting.
I mean, seriously, you got 75 good summers. If you're lucky and take care of yourself and eat right and do the right thing, you may have 80 good summers in your life. So all right. Anybody else got to say before I play the final piece to Saida Khan? Now this one is gonna be the fellas. This one, where the men gonna talk about it. I want if any women
gotta drop Dame. No, I'm joking.
No accountability. All right, let's get it.
Bye.
Let's get it going. Hold on. He's a fool.
place your energy is to like the person you are.
You said a man who can't walk away from a woman that he doesn't want or respect ends up losing his self-worth and his masculinity in his own mind. Why some men even end up in those situations.
When you can't walk away from somebody that is disrespectful, someone who's not good to you and not good for you, but you don't have a willingness to walk away. For a man, normally when somebody annoys you, when somebody disrespects you, whatever it is, 1 or 2 fights or whatever it is, then you can get physical and you get it out of your system and never speak to that person again. With a woman, you can't touch her. So you have all this rage, all this anger and rage that you can't actually give to her because that's inappropriate. So you give it to yourself. You start to hate yourself. When she's doing things that you know are so wrong, but you don't have a willingness to walk away, you might stay with her, but at the expense of your own self-respect. And you will literally start to hate yourself. You will look at yourself like you're a weaker person, and she can smell that off you. So the disrespect gets worse. The meanness gets worse. So when she learns you don't have that willingness to walk away, instead of appreciating you for staying with her through her battles, she now thinks, okay, he'll never go, but we're actually looking for the line. So she'll push you more and push you more and push you more, waiting to see where the line, the threshold is. If she can't find it, she'll just leave you. When they find that line, usually by that time, if they've stepped on him too many times to get there, she doesn't even care now. But they're waiting for that line, because when we realize you don't have the willingness to walk away, we're no longer as attached and attracted anyway. So we're just waiting for you to realize the line. And if you don't realize, we'll just find someone who does realize where the line is, and they usually move on.
What exactly?
All right. Okay. Wow, that was strong.
That was very strong.
I think that goes into male bitterness. Why there's I want to take this a couple of different ways. I want to ask a question related to that, and then I want you guys to comment on any aspect of what you just said, fellas. And if women, if you are surprised by something, or if you want to comment or you agree, disagree, feel free to jump in. So the question I asked, and this is just a general question, we can popcorn and anybody can jump in, is do you feel that a lot of times male bitterness toward women is actually male bitterness toward themselves? So I want to go with the fellas first. I'll go to Genius. What do you think? A lot of people are just trying to hide their own disdain for themselves by transferring it to women.
A part of me wants to say no, because I just don't operate like that. But then a part of me sees the truth in that statement. You know, when I think about like the red pill community, and like how a lot of it is, you know, projection, you know, with the women bashing, and it's, you know, they're incapable of, you know, really getting the women that they desire. So it's like, we got to demonize all women. So I see a part of that as being truthful. But, you know, when I'm thinking about my own personal experiences, I wouldn't say it's bitter. Just like all the ladies on the panel, when you have a negative experience, you have an opportunity to learn. And if you take accountability in your role in that negative experience, you know, it's not really a bitterness, it's a betterment. So you increase your awareness and understanding of who you are, what you need to change about yourself, and what type of person is compatible with you.
But we've been on a lot of these platforms, all of us, for the most part, and we've seen genuine male bitterness.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Toward women, and the question is it really, they really have a bitterness toward what they allowed somebody to do to themselves? So in fact, it's really self-hate as opposed to what that person, because a lot of people feel like, God, I should have known it, I should have seen it coming, and they get pissed off at themselves, so they transfer it onto women. I'm gonna ask you, DL, do you think that could possibly be, is that a thing in these streets?
I think it's absolutely a thing. You know what I mean? And Brother Genius, you know, I move in the red pill community. You're absolutely right. There are a lot of guys over there who have this bitterness, but those dudes can't even get a woman in the first place. So in that situation, it's like, it's absolutely your fault, player. Like, you can't even, you mad because she don't see you. You know what I mean? Like, come on now. So, you know, and even when you do level up and you get to a point where, you know, women see you and now you're out here trying to talk to women and you're figuring it out, you're going to fall for one of them women. When I tell the young guys, again, I say, hey, man, the longer you spend, you know, your time in these trenches, in these dating trenches, the higher the likelihood you're going to get wrecked. You're going to get your face cracked, and you're going to blame it on women. That, again, most people don't look in the mirror and point to the person who's really responsible. Is the person looking back at you. So yeah, I think that's absolutely a thing. I think these dudes go out here thinking, I'm the man, I'm this, I'm that. They finally, you know, they've been running game on chicks or whatever, been working for them. They finally get the girl that they want. Why wouldn't she want to be with me? She runs her game, Rexing. You know what I mean? Like, ain't that how karma works? You know what I mean? What goes around comes around, and it's her fault. It's like, nah, bro, that's your fault. So no, it's absolutely a thing, I believe. But I'm not a pro. I'm just an old man sitting in his attic talking to a computer.
What you jerk?
Yeah, I think it's directed at self, really, because as men, we got egos. And I think a lot of times that traps us to like bad situations. So it's funny because like when we do be talking to people, it's like, hey, I want a good woman that exhibits these characteristics, traits, whatever. And then typically as men, we go for physical attraction. And we're superficial to a certain degree. So I think that's what tends to happen, where those guys, like you said, they're angry because they want that specific person to be the good person, and they are who they are up front. So it's just like, I want to change this person, mold them to what I want to be, but you know, they're not going to reform for that person and stuff. So that's that internal conflict guys would typically have. It's like, all right, that person ain't changing. So it just bothers them to the core, kind of what you're pointing out.
Yeah. All right, ladies, anybody got any insights there or anything they want to say regarding what Saida just said? I think it was a super strong statement that how men can develop a significant amount of bitterness toward women.
I think what Saint said was actually very true when he said, you know, the men that I see out there, and this could be equally true for certain women that are bitter or bashing women, is because they can't get a woman or the type of woman they think they want. That's where I see that. I don't see most men, and I have a lot of male friends. I interact on panels like this, high level. Men are not bitter that I see. When I see real bitterness is user 15610, you know, bashing me on TikTok with no profile pic and saying the most horrible things about me. And it used to affect me. And now I'm like, dude, it's because you couldn't get women like us, good, solid women. And the same can be true when women come after women or women go after men. So, yeah.
Have any of you women ever experienced that where a guy, you felt like he can't be this mad at women or me or anything particularly? There's got to be something else going on deeper than this, because this can't have affected him this deeply. I saw Queen's eyes just pop up. Go ahead, Queen.
I don't know. Somebody might be a fan of him, so I'm not gonna say nothing. It's another YouTuber.
Go ahead, please.
I think
Let it out, Shouty. We got to hear that, Shouty.
It's Anton Daniels. So it's like some stuff he say I agree with, but I also seen like pictures of what he used to look like, and now he has like all of this money. So I feel like a lot of his talking points about women comes from the fact that he couldn't get the woman that he actually wanted.
You think Anton?
Yeah.
Anton been married for like 20 years. I think he got the woman that he wanted.
But do you see how he comes off in his talking point sometimes about women? I feel like that's a little bit of bitterness, because why are you so focused on women? I watched a podcast with him. I want to say it was like the Hardly Initiated podcast. Mm-hmm. And he was mainly, his talking points was like what women need to do, what women need to do. But that also comes from a standpoint of when men talk about when women talk about what men need to do, it's like the same thing. So men will say, well, how can we tell them what they need to do? And then it's like, well, how can you tell women what they need to do? You know what I'm saying? It's like.
Okay. Do you think in that case, like a lot? Go ahead, brother.
Well, Brother Dame, I was going to say, I mean, I don't know Anton like that. I haven't watched a lot of his content, to be honest. I have not. But to the point where you might have a guy who's been married for 20 years and is very successful, and still might be some animosity because he might not have married the woman he really wanted to marry, but he has his convictions. And I'm not saying this is about Anton. I don't know the brother, but it's like, here's a guy who has his convictions. He's running the numbers. It was like, at the time, this is what I could get. And this woman loves me and I love her and we built this family and I'm religious or whatever. So I'm going to stay with her. Now I'm successful. And you're out there like, damn, I really wanted a little shorty over there, but I can't do it now. So it might be a little bit of that in there, possibly. I'm just throwing that out there.
And that's what
I
I'm
mean,
saying.
Let me
I
can I
think-
jump in real quick? Because
Yeah, I think you're
I
right
don't think
about
we
that,
should be
Beyonce.
mentioning him like that. Because one thing I'll say about him, he's been married for a long time. So I mean, he made that commitment, whatever. And then also he gets on a lot of men too about their behaviors and
I
stuff. So
agree.
he goes in hard. So I think sometimes we'll see a video of like that might seem one sided, but trust me, he be cussing them dudes out and stuff for their behavior. So you
I
line him
think
up with the
something.
guys and the girls.
Yeah, something happens in this space a lot. There's a lot of bluster and bravado. A lot of dudes like exaggerate things, or some people, like some cats, say exactly how it is. But there's a lot of like bravado in these. There's a lot of testosterone flying around these things to impress or put yourself
them up,
above
yeah.
other people. Yeah, so it's just one of those things where could it be a little bit of that? Possibly. Like I've seen him on shows, and like me and him went back and forth on a Fatty show, as a matter of fact, about where I felt like he was being blusterous or whatever like that. But there are certain things. When one thing I haven't necessarily doubted about him is his position in his marriage and how he feels about his wife per se and their dynamic. I think it is a solid one. I think, I feel like you can say a lot about him, but that marriage shit, he kind of got it figured out for the most part. Like there's a lot of things that people do in marriages where you might not like it. Be like, how dare he get on and talk to other women and flirt with other women? He can't be serious about his message. But if his wife is cool with it, it is what it is. That's their relationship. So they have to determine what's appropriate in their situation. If I really thought that the more successful a guy get, and not get me wrong, I'm not defending. I'm all believing calling a spade and saying what's fair. Is like if he has set up his relationship to where he can have it and say and do whatever he wants, that's his situation or what have you. I don't know. I don't talk to him enough to kind of get an idea. And like I said, I don't care either way if he's faking the funk or if it's truly like that. It doesn't affect me either way. Yeah. So it's just one of those things where him and his wife got to live in a relationship. So, if she's not complaining, or you don't hear, if you hear 5 years on the line that she done left him because of that shit, then it was all bullshit. If she's staying for another 20 years, then it might be exactly the way it is. So it is what it is. But yeah, Anton, if you're listening, if you hear this, feel free to come up anytime. I'll throw you the link and you can explain your situation. But otherwise, yeah. Anybody else got anything to say about the topic at hand?
I'll say send me the link.
To what?
To the video.
Oh, to Saida Khan's video?
Yeah.
I'll shoot it over to you. Yeah. I mean, it's just, I think, like, just to get back to it, I think can as women, can you guys tell when a guy is doing that, when a guy is faking the funk, like he's really has an issue with you? Can you sniff it out? Like, this might be an issue with him. This might be a you thing that you're transferring to me. I'm gonna go to Pata. Do you feel like you have you have a keen enough sense to be like, this is a him thing, that he's trying to make it a me thing, but it's really a him thing? Do you feel like you've experienced that, or you could sniff that out if it was ever the situation?
I used to think I was really good at stuff like that, but my last relationship, I was very, very wrong about a lot of stuff. I gave him kind of the benefit of the doubt, so I guess I can't necessarily anymore.
Okay.
Confidently, at least.
How about you, Nikki?
I think people project as a whole. Working with the general public, they could be mad at this, that, and the other, and you have nothing to do with that, and you're just the in-between messenger of that situation, and they're going to project to you their anger, their sadness, their whatever the emotion is And I think that even more so with people that you're comfortable with. So maybe when you're in a relationship, you have other issues that you maybe haven't worked out for yourself, but that's the person next to you that you can communicate with. You might be projecting that onto them. And I think a lot of people do that. I think people do that without even realizing they do it.
Okay. How about you, Jackie?
Yeah, I mean, I think going back to my energy statement, I think sometimes you can feel when somebody is like reaching from their past, maybe a little, right? Because you know how you're coming forth and how you're being genuine.
Did you freeze? You freeze?
Yeah,
That's a bad way to freeze too.
I was
Oh
gonna
boy,
say,
for real.
Bro just said, hell yeah, I can tell when the motherfucker hates themselves and is projecting. Okay.
I would say that I could feel, I'm not necessarily against me, but when a guy has a lot of insecurities, for example, one of the guys we always saying, I'm rich, I have money. Or, oh, I'm just a guy with a bunch of muscles. Oh, I'm a genius. And he's bragging on themselves,
You know, this is what you ain't going to.
I was waiting for it.
Shots fired up in this piece. What the hell?
I didn't
1
hear
point for
you.
Erica.
No, I can tell she's been on my IG.
No. Oh my God. I wasn't talking about you, Manic. I mean,
stop the bullshit. Stop the bullshit.
She definitely checked out my IG. She saw the muscles.
I did not. Well, it's funny. The last person and Jackie.
So you didn't see my IG? Hold on. Erica, you didn't see my IG?
No.
You've never been to my IG?
I swear I have not. I don't even have you.
You don't have to have me. It's clear. It's at the Manic Genius. And
Do you guys want me to create a private room for you guys?
I've never.
I totally
separate. Am I?
Maybe we need to step off, Erica.
I swear.
Talk in the back chat.
The last guy I went out with, he constantly was like bragging on himself, and it was like the most terrible thing on planet Earth. And that is one, I think it's a bunch of insecurities when you're constantly bragging on how smart you are. You do like, oh, I got money, I'm not gonna. But it's funny when a guy says I got money, but I'm gonna take you in a
Coffee
day
date.
walking in the park, you kind of contradict yourself. So I'm gonna leave you alone, and I'm not gonna entertain that. But going back to what I was saying is, in general, like when a guy is bragging about themselves a lot, it's just, to me, it's like insecurity. Like you're trying to brag about what you have because you're like full of insecurities. So that's how I see it. I might be wrong, but man,
Would you go on a
you're
date
just
with
your
that?
age.
Would you
Huh?
go on a date with that guy though?
Well, Beef, when I first met him, he wasn't like that, and I was dating him. But
She's
then
like,
he was
yes,
like that, and every
that's
time
my
he'll make
type.
a comment like that, I'll be like embarrassed. I was embarrassed because who in the world says comments like that?
Jerk, you're on mute.
I was going to say, how long did you guys date?
It was like 2 months and a half, and it was a long distance. So I mean, not that long.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, it didn't. I was able to identify the flags early on.
Okay.
You guys are funny.
Now, sometimes confidence can be perceived as arrogance. So, to insecure people, I'll just leave it at that.
When constantly have to brag about their muscles and their money and how it's just that is screams insecurity.
What's constantly bragging about it?
When a
Can you give us an example?
Sure. Can we get a clip from the other videos?
Which one?
No,
So, Dame, you're right. She's just confirming. She was talking about me.
Jerk understood. But anyway, no, I honestly, Manic, it wasn't towards you. It was a true story. Jackie's there to it. Like I would tell her all the time. He was constantly like, repeating about I'm this and I'm that. And when a person is constantly saying how good I am, it's obviously not confidence, it's insecurities, and he constantly has to say it, so it makes other people believe that that's what they are.
I actually agree with
telling
you.
us the truth.
Yeah, I actually agree with you on that, Erica. If a guy's constantly, repeating a mantra or, saying it may not actually be true. So
They're trying to make themselves believe it.
yeah.
I've seen that before, where guys like repeat the story or whatever. They really want to make it so, because if you tell yourself, you can delude yourself too. Self delusion is a thing. I see it a lot on these streets. All right, are you done, Erica? Are you finished with
I am sorry if I hurt anyone's feelings on the panel.
You did not.
Yeah, you definitely didn't.
You hurt my feelings, Erica. I want an apology.
No, no joke. Manic, I know that you're young. That's all. It's cool. I know you're.
You want to know how old I am? I'll tell you in the back chat.
No.
Follow me on IG.
Very good.
Shoot me a DM. I'll tell you my age.
All right. Can I get some podcasts? Setting up people. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just joking.
Yeah, I'm not as young as you think, but I'll let you live with that.
I don't know where to go with this now.
So we could cut this chemistry with a knife.
Back to the show. All right. You guys can do whatever the hell you're going to do on another show. On this show, we're going to talk about bitter and better. Okay. All right. So now I want to ask a couple of questions, and this is going to be some rapid fire stuff. I don't need these to be like super long or what have you. Some things that like I pulled from various things to kind of get an idea of if people are aware of any kind of unknown subconscious bitterness or things that they may have, or things that may be contributing to any kind of ill feeling they may have toward the opposite sex. All right. So I'm just going to go through these. We can go through them like super fast. All right. First question is, have past relationship made you more bitter towards the opposite sex, or has it given you a better understanding of it? I think we already answered this question. People most said bitter and better. We asked that at the beginning. All right. Pick one. I am often surprised, or I'm never surprised what I hear about the opposite sex. Man, are you like, I'm always surprised about what I hear about women? Or are you just like, nah, that don't surprise me. I'm gonna go to the fellas first. I'm gonna go to you, Jerk.
I'm gonna say I'm not too surprised when I hear certain things, man.
All right. Anything you want to highlight? Go ahead. You gotta say it now.
When I do hear stories of like I'll say like a dude kind of being impacted financially, I could see that happening.
Go digging.
Yeah.
Got you. What about you, DL?
I'm never surprised about what I hear about the opposite sex, good and bad. You know what I mean? So, I mean, a lot of people go to the negative right away, but, there are some good women out there. People fundamentally want to be good. So when I hear the good stories, and we're talking about individuals, I'm like, oh, yeah, just making an example. I'm like, oh, yeah, Erica, she let you crash on the sofa. You know what I mean? She, cooked you dinner and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, she good people, man. I'm not surprised. But at the same time, you come back and like, oh, Erica took you to family court, man, took all your shit, huh? It's like one of those things.
Me.
What about you, Genius?
I'll say I've been divorced now 2 years. When I first got back on the dating market 2 years ago, I was very surprised. But now at this point, with the experience and knowledge and like having good people in my circle, the sophisticated jerk talking over things, I'm not really surprised anymore. I'm becoming less and less surprised. So I definitely fall into the less surprised category. But 2 years ago, being fresh back in the dating market, I was very surprised.
Was there anything particular that surprised you?
Was that?
He said, what were you most surprised with?
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask.
Yeah, we need a story.
I'm not going to give a story. I'm not going to get that personal. But I mean, I was surprised at like just the dating environment and, nowadays, sex is way easier to get. It's like super easy. It's ridiculous. Commitment is a little bit harder now versus I think when I when I was married, or when I was single prior to being married 12 years ago. Commitment wasn't really an issue. It was like could get commitment from a woman like that was like the standard thing. It was only like the very few or that I knew of, or the type of women I was entertained and attracted to. That was one of those things. But now it seems like everybody's operating from a standpoint of like, oh, everybody's disloyal. So let me, still have my roster on the side and still do my side stuff, even though that person, they haven't even given that person a real chance and opportunity. So I think people are running around here with rosters and then realizing that it's just not working. And I think everybody's kind of like take that standpoint. That's just been in my experience. And it's kind of made me like realize certain things. So I'll say now dating, it's definitely different being like divorced, because like that's one of the first questions women ask. So like, oh, would you get married again? And it just really depends. Like, I don't think I would, jump into it as willy-nilly after I filed for divorce and I did lose a lot of shit. Like,
whoa, you said you filed? You filed?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Wow, you fit in that 30% minority.
Yeah, I mean, but honestly, that video, that's why I asked Dame to send it to me, because I actually had a conversation recently with my ex-wife and she asked me why did I divorce her. And I told her, hey, we had great memories, we had great times, but there was levels of disrespect and she just would not accept that. She's like, I disrespected you. Like, she just wouldn't accept that. And it takes time. It's kind of hard to tell somebody that you did something wrong, that they did something wrong. So the conversation kind of ended there. And I was like, hey, I didn't come here to like, make you feel bad or, put it on you. And I took the responsibility. It's like, hey, I didn't hold strong to my boundaries and my values, and I allowed you to cross certain lines. And therefore, you established a habit of, crossing these lines and whatnot. And it just got to a point where it was the straw that broke the camel's back. And, once you reach a level of disrespect, and I want to clarify, disrespect for me is a lot different from most guys. I am a difficult person to deal with, clearly.
Look at
I can admit that. Surprise, Erica. I'm a very difficult person to deal with.
No shit.
But I'm also understanding too, so I can listen to people, and I think communication is best when you understand how to listen to what the person is actually saying. And I think from a very logical perspective, so I can listen to you and hear your emotions and let you vent your emotions, but I could still tell you, hey, here's what's going to happen. And like, I heard you, but I'm still going to do it this way. So I think there's a lot to unpack, but I think the video clip when Sadia was Sadia, her name, when she was breaking it all down, like, hey, when a woman thinks that a man won't leave, because I fell into that category. I absolutely loved my ex-wife and I didn't believe in divorce until I had to think about the bigger picture and think about my son and growing up in an environment like that. And it just wasn't the marriage that I had envisioned. And at the time I didn't believe in counseling, so I just was like, hey, I'm out.
All right. Cool.
Did you cry in the car and listen to Taylor Swift songs on your way home after that meeting?
Punching the air.
Punching air. No.
Man, he was playing the Hot Boys going home, bro.
No, I was actually listening to myself, yo. I rap, right? So
anybody, any of the ladies? Go ahead, Erica.
I want to say
don't
this.
make it specific to Manic. I'm just joking.
She's definitely making it specific to me.
No. It's really, really, really bad, but I don't feel that I get surprised anymore because I'm used to it. And when you think about it, it's sad because I look back in the day when I first got married or I was dating, it wasn't no options. There was no internet, so there was no crazy stories like today. Today, in the dating world, when I try to date, it's like I should get popcorn to be entertained with the drama and the bullshit, you know. So it's really sad that we don't get, you know, that we just become numb to what's happening today. And I think we have to all like make a difference and try to not be so avoidance, because that's what we becoming, right, Jessica? If you think about it, I'm an avoidance. I avoid any type of relationship that could come close to me because I don't want to be bothered, you know. I don't want somebody to ruin my life, and sometimes we need to start making like those changes ourselves. But it's sad that we don't get surprised, that we're not like surprised anymore. We're used to this bullshit. So that's what I want to say.
I think for me, I've become indifferent. I don't think avoidant would be the word for me. I just indifferent. Like it's easy. I would say I'm very surprised still. I like what Saint said. Let's celebrate the good from people too. And then I related to a lot of what Manic said, probably in a different way, just getting back into dating at the age I was like, what the hell happened? It's wild out here. It's like, it's wild. I don't think I'm surprised necessarily what I hear from or about the opposite sex, although some of the things men, especially in this 40-year-old age group, I tend to date younger to barely above my age. And I'm always shocked that guys closer to my age, what they're willing to say. I'm like, you're a grown ass man. I expect this from younger men. So that's where I get a little bit like, what just came out of your mouth?
Yeah.
So, but yeah.
But that right there is not surprising at all. That
It's
would be
surprising
the
to me.
older
For
dude.
me, it is
Yeah, that's
surprising.
That's
So
one of those
when
things.
men
Like,
are telling me they have BDE and 2 sentences in, I'm like, excuse me, what? Like, F all the way off. So
Explain to the people who don't know what BDE is.
do you want me to say it all the way?
I don't care. I'm not
Okay.
monetized, so go
I say
ahead.
all this shit on my show. Big energy. I'm like,
Yeah.
so obviously you saying that makes me know you have 0 BDA, and the fact that you thought it was okay to say that to me is just appalling to me.
Somebody really said that to you?
Oh, all the
What
time.
did they say?
Good
That
Lord.
these men are willing to
That
say sentence 2. I'm like, and I'm a Italian Philly girl who lives in DC. I will tell them to F all the way off. And I do.
All right. Let me
Yeah,
go
what
to the
did they
next.
say? I missed it.
Me too.
You're just making me say it again.
No. I
This
didn't
happened
miss
this
it.
week. This happened this week. That's what, or over the weekend, like sentence 2 of a conversation. You think you're talking to a proper gentleman who's in my age group, and he's like, "Oh, BDE," and I'm like, "What the fuck?"
I mean, wait, whoa.
Oh,
All right.
okay.
I just
You don't tell somebody you have BDE. They
No,
have
they're
it.
supposed to
You don't have to
sense it.
tell people you have it.
Exactly. That's why I said you obviously have 0
I'm
BDE.
curious. I'm curious. I don't want to make this belabor this point, but I need to know because there's context.
I
And
will
even though
screenshot it for you.
there's no context that would make it appropriate, but I'm
keep
like,
receipts.
but there's a difference between, yeah, I got that BDE if you want it, or yeah, I like to do things. I'm pretty masculine, I try to maintain a lot of BDE and blah blah blah. I think somebody said it as matter of factly, or they could be like, look at this BDE. It's like, and what was the context that he was saying?
BDE would actually say,
But
I
it's
have
just-
BDE.
Oh,
or like
I'm
trying
I had to look it up since nobody was going to say it. I mean,
Can you?
I had to look it
all
up.
the way out loud.
part of having
I didn't hear you.
BDE
I
is
didn't hear you.
because your character
There it is.
presents it. You just,
The context was introduction, where you from, this, that, and the other, and then like around here, where do you live? And then, oh, I placed my own, and by the way, I have BDE. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah. It's like, oh, if you didn't know, I have that BDE. If you're, is there a classy way to say it? It
In
was
a,
like,
in a talking stage, when is that necessary? Like, why?
I don't know.
Especially
I feel like you don't have to tell people what you are.
100%.
Yes.
right. You should.
That's what
No,
they said. If you got it.
I'm honest. I have a no.
Yeah, I remember in this
I'm
Game of Thrones, he
strong.
said, if you got to say you're the king, people don't.
You're not the
not
king.
say it. All right, let's go to the next one.
Yeah, I think that guy was fishing though. I think they throw them comments out to see how you react.
He was DTF and not down to date. He was dating.
There you go.
Yeah. You want to make that very
I
clear.
know what that means.
All right.
Miss
Let me
O.
see. What's the next one? The people I hang around with view the opposite sex in a positive or negative light mostly. Do you hang around people who are like men ain't shit, or you hang around women who ain't shit? Does anybody hang around with somebody who has a negative opinion of the opposite sex?
You will
No,
never.
I
catch
love
me
the opposite sex.
hanging with. Sorry, go
Me
ahead,
too.
Erica.
I
ahead,
love
go
the
ahead,
opposite
Potter.
sex, and all my friends do too. Like, so talking negative about anyone, period, is just not gonna bring the right energy. So no.
Except for
Go ahead,
Manic.
Got you on that one. Good. Go ahead, Potter. What you saying?
Like, you'll never catch me hanging around like other women who are like the man eaters kind of vibe. But then I'm not going to be hanging around men who are always talking shit about women either.
Yeah, it's a double-edged sword because I go on a lot of spaces, and I think a couple of other people get this too. It's like I'm a believer in fairness. I'm a bill about if I'm gonna call out men, I'm gonna call out women. I go on a site that's predominantly male. I start to call out men. I'm a simp all up and down the thing because I want people to be accountable for. So I'm a believer in mutual accountability. Y'all got both men and women having fucked up situations because they are picking bad and it's their fault. They are not doing what they haven't developed their value set to where they can determine what's going to work for them long term. They're still focused on the bullshit, and then they want to blame the other person. That's kind of goes in what Saida was saying. It was like, you did this to yourself. Like there were signs there that this person was full of shit, male or female, but for some reason you look past it. Men usually because you want sex with them. Women because you want access to resources or whatever. Or if it's even worse, you're in dire need of that opposite energy that you end up putting up. You're starving for it. That you start to put up with any old bullshit because you just need that energy around you, whatever you feel like it brings to you, because you're in a drought or whatever. So it's just hard to like kind of maneuver through that because it's like you're damned if you do, damned if you don't. A lot of people, but I'm one of those people. Like, it's all about self accountability. It's like if the person I get with suck, it's because I suck at recognizing that they suck. Because so.
Facts. Brother Dame, I got to run. I'm so sorry to do this to you, brother.
All right, brother. I appreciate you stopping through, man.
My pleasure.
All right, brother.
Man. Take it easy, man.
Hey, appreciate
Take it
you.
easy, brother. Thank you so much for coming through, man.
Yeah, thank y'all so much. This was great. This was amazing. I needed this. This was low key. Now I got to go deal with some nonsense. I got to run.
All right, appreciate you, brother.
Yeah.
Peace.
All right. Let me go to the next one. And this one, my views on the opposite sex make me want to be more or get in relationship more or stay away from relationships. Anybody here and shit were like, I can't do that. I can't get with it. These women out here crazy, or these men out here losing their mind. Anybody have those? Even if it's like, even if it's kind of a something that comes and goes or what have you. Do you have a feeling where you're just like, the opposite sex is just really fucked up right now, and it wouldn't be to my benefit to try to get into something significant with them?
I think it's I don't know.
Want me to go first?
Yeah,
No, let it go.
No, go ahead. Let me collect my thoughts.
Okay.
I was going to say, I don't think the whole generalization is a fair statement. I wouldn't say the whole, opposite sex is terrible. I would just say though, just views based off of, now that everybody has a microphone on YouTube and everybody wants to be an influencer or a coach, you kind of get a collection of like what women to kind of stay away from, and kind of have the ability now to like see those red flags a lot sooner. Just because instead of girls having girl talk with themselves, they put it online now, so you can like, oh shit, this is what she actually really meant. Okay, cool. So it's just more information to process. My views of the opposite sex, I definitely would rather be in a relationship with, just one person and, keep it loyal, consistent, and just build, because I'm always in a constant state of like trying to build. So with having one person there, it's like implementing what they want out of their life and merging it so that our vision can both, grow and be prosperous. However, finding somebody who's willing to come into my situation, and who's going to accept those coffee dates, those walks in the parks. And it's not because I don't have the money. It's because I'm allocated my resources for things that are going to be more beneficial for my future and legacy, like paying off my crib, which I plan to do in the next 5 years, and I'm on track to do. Cars paid off, no credit card debt.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good
Yeah.
job.
Let's
Should I
go.
keep going? Credit
Yeah.
score over 800. Should I keep going, Dame?
I heard you.
We're done with you.
You're like-
No. Okay. So, but honestly, finding
Yeah,
somebody who's in line with, like, making those hard sacrifices to, like, say, hey, I have this money, I could go on this trip, I could do these things, but I'm not. That's actually kind of hard to do, because I feel like a lot of women run into guys who are willing to, open their wallets and say, oh, I can do this for you. I want to show you that I really appreciate you. I want to do this. So navigating through that, it kind of keeps me in a space of, like, man, on the weekends, like, I just sit back and read and just, like, chill and, like, write my, notes for, my future and shit. So that part is, do I want to allow a woman to come there and interrupt that piece? So it's like a double-edged sword.
Yeah.
Right.
So let's address this thing. I think 414 reactions, I haven't ever seen you much, but I appreciate you coming through. He wants to say, can we get some introspective transparency? Where did you need to grow? How did you ruin your last relationships? Are you always the victim? Is this a general question for everybody on the panel, or are you asking me specifically? But I'll do this. While you put it in there, I will answer it because I'm all about growth and transparency. I think, where did I need to grow? When in my past relationships, when I got out of relationships, I was looking for superficial things. I thought I wanted to be the power couple in the club, walking in, everybody heads turned, looked at us, and it was like, oh my God, look how dope that couple is. I wanted status that was fleeting, whether it be, I wanted to be in the VIP. I wanted to do all the things that didn't lend to long-term healthy relationships. I loved the club, and the club loved me. So it was hard for me but I realized one day that it was superficial, and I had to, if I wanted something significant, I'd have to move away from that. So I stepped away from it, did some work on myself, aligned myself with people who had the kind of relationships that I was trying to be, learned from them, took a step away from dating for a little bit. And then it was like that scene from A History of Violence, where the guy Tom Stahl said he went into the desert and killed Joey Cusack. I had to go and kill Aaron Love. So that's the way it was. So in order so Damien could have a real life, and that's kind of how I ruined my last relationship. I hadn't done the work to become somebody that somebody was thinking would be a good long-term prospect for. And now I don't play the victim. I'm 100% accountable for the shit I did, and that's that. So if that was about for me, I answered your question. Normally I don't do that, but he's been asking some good questions. I feel like I've been ignoring them, so I'm gonna go ahead and answer that question. Sorry, we can get back into the thing. That does anybody else feel? What was the question? Does it make you want to be more or less in a relationship? Anybody else got anything to say on that topic?
I don't think it makes me more or less, meaning men or women or that. I think it's just dating is a chore that it takes. I'm busy, and it takes up a lot of time. And so as to where it was exciting back to me in my 30s and 20s when I was in that position to date, now I'm like, oh God, like I got to allocate time for this. I can't concentrate on my goals or this, or my son going his last year of college. Like all these things are going on. So the allocation of time, I'm more selfish with my time, I think, but I've made a goal this year to be more intentional, to make time, because I love being in a partnership, and that's not going to happen at any point if I don't make the time.
Gotcha. That works. All right. Last couple of questions here. I appreciate you guys rocking with me. I know Eric was like, I'm tired as hell. I was like, I got you. And we just lost Jackie.
Could I say something real quick, Dave?
Yeah, brother, go ahead.
I don't think women need men anymore, but y'all damn sure need an IT guy. I'll be having the worst internet connections.
That is true. We
Say that to Jackie's face.
They be like, we don't need no men. Internet connection be going down and shit.
The mic go down.
Oh God! And I make the worst faces. I'm back, so I know.
You're
I
like, you know. All right.
That's awful.
The last question is going to be about accountability and as what are some of the bitternesses that you might have brought into the your next relationships from previous relationships, and what are some of the betterments? Like, what are some of the things that you feel like, you know, I brought this into it, but I've also brought these things that that makes me a better relationship prospect or partner or what have you. You can start with either first. If you say, hey, you know what, I used to always, like, I'll give you a perfect example. I used to always, you know, be quick to be sarcastic and dismissive in arguments. Like if you said something, you know, I'd be like super sarcastic. I say something that just like would just set you off and just try to make you feel super stupid or what have you. And then I was hypercritical a lot of times from previous relationships or what have you. You know, that's one thing. It's anybody, but some of the betterments that are brought into other relationships is an openness to learn from people. It was like, you know, experience. I take their experiences, try to develop it, and try to say, okay, what can I learn from that? How can I take what this person's brought to me, what I've done to hurt them or whatever, and make sure that I never repeat those same things in my next relationships or whatever. So does anybody want to speak on anything to that? Like, is there any type thing that you either consciously or subconsciously bring into a relationship that let's just start with bitterness that might be a little could be considered a little bitterness?
I know.
We all got something. Go ahead.
I used to always give dudes the benefit of the doubt, like on everything. So if they do something that makes me slightly uncomfortable, I'm gonna look at them from like a human aspect and like, okay, yeah, like maybe I could see it that way, and just kind of like let it go, even if it was like, you know, something that was like crossing my boundary. But I guess with that, like there was a lot of resentment, obviously, that I built over time. But looking at it, it just all came down to boundaries. Like I did not have like solid values, but boundaries. I was being run over when it came to my boundaries. So I guess that's the betterment of it, I guess.
I like the way you answer that. And I think I rephrased it the way you answered. I think that's a better way to put it. It's like, what is a bitterness that you've gotten over that you might have brought into the next relationship, but you worked through it, and now it's more of like a better than a bitter for you guys. Is there something? I think everybody has something, because if anybody tell me, no, I'm pretty damn perfect, manic, you know, you be full of yourself, because there's somebody we can ask. You'd be like, that motherfucker? No. So go. You know what? I'll go with Jackie. Jackie.
Oh, good.
Go ahead. Since we go boy girl.
Wait, so betterment or bitterness?
Yeah, what is is there something that was a bitterment that was bitterness, or something that was, you know, we don't have to get stuck on the word bitter. Let's just say there was something that was negative that you were bringing because of something negative that you had inside of yourself that you could possibly bring to your next relationships, but you may have worked it out. You may have figured out a way to work through it and made yourself better, and you made it to where it was a non-issue in your next relationship.
Yeah. I think feeling like the need to like always be with my partner. I'd never really not been in a relationship where we were not always together. Even though I'm like a very independent person, it was something that I kept bringing to my next relationship. And not that I've been in many, because I really haven't, but the one I'm in now, I'm like, okay, like, go do your thing. I'll go
get away from me.
Yeah, no, and not get away from me, but like, okay, like, go have your fun and I'll go do my thing. I still feel it like creeping in because I just love to like be with my partner. But I think somebody wrote it in the chat. I just realized there was a chat. So I was like scrolling through and somebody said something about like codependency, and I'm like, oh shit, that was one of my biggest flaws, was that I was super codependent in the past. But it's weird because like I'm a very independent human. So like how those coexist, that's going to be something that I'm going to take away and like think about again, right? Because I feel like I might have processed it a while back, and now being in my relationship now, I'm like, am I codependent at all? Like, what am I doing? Right. So I think it's good to, I totally appreciate being here with you guys and having this platform to kind of talk through all of this, because I think it's super necessary for people to speak out loud, not just like with their friends, but like with people that you don't know.
Yeah.
To get like different awakened opinions, because I think it's good. So yeah.
'Cause when you do it around friends, either one or two things: either they're super harsh or they're super easy on you, and you may not either one of those things, because you need that unbiased thing, because they don't have a dog in the fight; they just saying it the way it is.
Right. And they have like love for you, but also
trying to
like,
protect you.
yeah, but then they're like, their opinion of your person, like maybe they've had like unexperienced or no experiences, right? And then it's like, it's really interesting just to kind of like hear perspectives. But I think the best perspective is the one that you have on your own relationship.
Yep. All right, Jerk, you were going to say something, brother. Sorry, interrupting you.
No, you good. And I like what she broke down. So, but I was just gonna say, man, one of the things I had to work on before I got married was I was intolerant, and I also lacked patience. Then it caused me to pretty much be in a state where I was always like kind of nitpicking shit, trying to low key sabotage a relationship so I could go back to the streets. So, I mean, I think that was mainly, I'll say my issues that I had, but I definitely had to address that. Was like start, getting that tolerance for somebody and, more patience.
Are you perfect? Right?
Not at all.
I would call out Manic, but he'd be like, I was just a little bit too, my biceps were too massive, and it was just like, when I hugged her, she would just feel a little suffocated, and my intellect was just so, out there that it was just like I'd have to tone down my rhetoric.
It was like, after I've been at the internet, I did stumble across this other business I made, Amazon.
He was constantly breaking out the dictionary on me, What about you, Maddie?
I got two. One of the biggest issues for me early was believing there was a solution to every problem. Especially when dealing with my communication with, my partner. I realized a little bit later, sometimes women just want to be heard and they just want to vent. And that doesn't require a solution. That requires me to just actively listen and say, oh, okay, yeah, I care about it, even though I fucking don't.
And that's okay.
The number two
thing, stay humble, y'all.
I say the number two thing is lack of attention. That's been kind of like my biggest issue lately. Literally, all the women that's kind of stepped off, they've been like, like I don't give them enough attention. And a largely impact, it's due to my busy schedule. Just with work and doing the podcast stuff, and I have a son, so he's 3, so it takes a lot. But when I do have that free time, they expect that should be dedicated to them. And with me getting out of a 8-year marriage, I found a lot of peace in just being alone. So that's an issue that I have. It's kind of like that lack of attention and letting the woman that I'm with feel like they're a part of everything that I got going on. And then some have even accused me, or not accused me of like cheating, but they think that like, oh, there's another woman. Like, I won't even say that story. I'll just leave that. But I'll just say, Yeah, and I mean, I let them FaceTime me or whatever if they, I don't care. I'll pick up, but they'll see that hey, I'm just chilling at my crib, just alone. Nobody's here. I'm just chilling. But I think that's a lot. It's really hard for the women that I'm with to, kind of really understand that, because when we are together, we have such a great time, and it's like, it's just very positive and positive vibes, and just like, well, why wouldn't you want to like recreate what we had the other day? And it's just like, well, that was yesterday. Like now I need some downtime, 'cause I was in fucking entertainment mode, and it's just like I gotta recharge.
All right, Jessica, I see you raising your finger. Go ahead, Jessica.
Oh, Manic. When you find the right one, the attention will follow. And any girl you have to FaceTime like that,
No.
that's not the
I
one.
promise you. I promise every woman says that. They're like, oh, they all say that. They say the same thing. That it's like, oh, you just didn't really like her. And it's like, no, I actually really did like her.
You didn't like her. I liked a lot of guys, but they weren't the one. Mark my words.
Nah, he's terrible with his schedule.
Yeah, Jerk knows.
He's doomed.
Yeah.
He's one of the few one of the few men that I talk to and share certain things with. But I'm a very private person. I don't put my business out there, other than like YouTube stuff that I don't care about people knowing. But when it comes to my relationships, I do not, put that stuff out there. So text message, pictures, they all get deleted when the relationship's in.
I just want to say something. I'm gonna pass it to Erica, but I just want to say something real quick to somebody in the chat. Broja, you can't be saying all this good stuff, and next time you better just come up on the show, because you've been like saying like a good stuff that you probably would have got some answers to had you been on the show. So next time, this is saying you need to be up here on the show. So make sure you come up, okay? All right. And she was saying I got cheated on before, and my mindset was just a dog, man. Yeah, I can't stay bitter. Every experience is always going to be a different one long term. Okay. All right, Erica.
So I'm gonna say this. I hate to admit it, but I'm like Manic. I don't want, it's just the same story. But I agree with Jessica. And I believe in it because I have faith that when the right person comes, I will make the time. So it's and I'm gonna say it. I'm not scared. I don't think it's a bad word. I'm an avoidance. I will avoid, we could call it whatever name, avoidance, indifferent. At the end of the day, we're trying to not deal with something. But I hope that the right time, the right person will come along, and I will make the time for that person. So I would say I agree with what they both said. Because I like my space, I like my time, and I have come to a place where I value it so much that it's hard. So that's what I have to say.
All right. Nikki, you around? You got some chickens to feed. Yeah. All right. I'm sure she will pop on in a minute. But I just want to say I appreciate all you guys coming up. I know on a Tuesday for 2 hours can be a lot. I'm tired of shit myself, but a long day. But I really like rocking out with you guys and having conversations that can lead somewhere. Anybody? Oh, there you go. How about you, Nikki? You're not getting away that good. What do you got to add to the?
What was the question?
Oh, okay. What you going to eating something? What are you doing? The question was, were there any particular habits that could be considered bitter that you either are worried that you're going to bring into new relationships, or you knew that you could bring into a relationship and you worked on it to make sure it didn't affect your new relationships? What you have to fix about yourself, Nikki?
I'm hyper independent. So I'm controlling because I have controlled my environment for a very long time. So I think allowing somebody to step in and me to relinquish control, I worried that I'm going to struggle doing that in the next relationship.
what does that mean to you? What does control mean? Is it because it's a form of like safety as a security thing for you, or have you not experienced it? Or have you ever experienced a situation where you felt secure or where you could least control to somebody?
It's a security thing for sure.
Yeah.
I know how hard I had to work to get to where I am. So to let somebody else take control and possibly allow all the things I've worked for to crumble, it's a scary thought.
So that person who does that is going to have to build up a significant amount of trust with you in order to do that. And it's probably going to take a long time.
And it doesn't need to be rushed, because if it's something that's supposed to be and it's something that's going to be worthwhile, then it doesn't need to be rushed.
Miss True, can I ask her a real quick question?
Uh-oh.
Like it's not bad. It's not bad. Dang. No, not necessarily timing wise, but if a man came to you correctly in a very respectful way and laid out a vision, right, to which, he could continue to tackle his goals and, kind of listen to you and what you wanted out of life, and can put a vision to where both of you guys can collectively, reach your goals and, your short-term and long-term goals. Would you be receptive to that, or would you still need to control that situation, especially if the guy's coming with?
Of course I would be receptive to that, but he would have to prove that that's what he's really going to do. Because I've heard a lot of people say what they're going to do and say what they're going to do, and then time goes by, and then what they said they're going to do, they don't do.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
So again, that's that building of trust. Mm-hmm. I got to know you and know that I can trust you, and I can put that faith in you that I can rely on you to do what you say you're going to do, because I know I'm going to say what I'm going to do, what I'm going to do, and what I say I do, I do. What you see is what you get. I don't have time for this, that, and the other. So it's definitely a trust situation for me.
All right. Well, we have reached the end of the show, everybody. Yay! I just want to say I really appreciate you guys taking the time to like rock out with me. You guys were insightful. You guys were funny. You guys had a lot. It was just you were just a phenomenal panel, and I appreciate each and every one of you. So I'm going to start with the ladies, and we're going to say final thoughts. You can say final thoughts. You don't have to say final thoughts. You can just give your impression on anybody, not anybody, anything that we talked about. And if you want to share, want the people to know how to get a hold of you, please let them know. All right, we'll start off with Erica. Go ahead, Erica.
Well, I'm just going to say that I honestly believe that we have to keep growing and learning and becoming better. And thank you all. You guys were funny. It's always awesome to be with you guys. This is my third podcast with you guys, and I always have a blast. So thank you.
I'm going to go to Jessica last. How about you, Nikki?
No, I agree. We always have to be continuing to, there's always improvement. You could always do better. So every day you should think about how you can improve yourself. You have to be the person that, you want a good person, you have to be that person too. So you got to be able to put out what you want to receive. If you want to find me, I'm on Miss True Instagram.
And hopefully she'll be on this again. You too, Erica? You'll come back? Okay, good. And Pada, I really appreciate you jumping on for the first time. You had some really great insights, so I appreciate you. What do you want to say?
I guess there was this quote that I guess thinking about coming on for this topic, that it was just constantly like a reminder in my head going into this. So I'd like to share that. It's from Avatar, like one of the anime shows. And it's, if you look for the light, you can often find it. but if you look for the dark, that's all you'll ever see. And to me, like, I'm a person that loves love, and I like to try to remain hopeful that regardless of how many people have wronged me or like all the crazy shit that I've heard the opposite sex doing to women and such, that there is going to be someone out there that's going to love me for all of me, just as I am for them. So I guess this will go into me saying that be sure that you're practicing self-love. Stop approaching your potential partners like you're interviewing them for a job. And just like, there's so many people that have done you wrong. So if like you're bitter and everything, don't turn around and do yourself wrong by holding on and keeping a hold of that and missing out on potential like happiness in the future. But that's all I have. Thanks for having me on.
Okay. You want people to be able to reach out to you?
Yeah, I'm on IG.
There's your thing right there.
So I haven't started streaming yet on Twitch, but I might. So
That's your thing right there. Everybody want to?
Pata_Marie93.
All right. Thank you so much. All right. The reason I picked Jessica last because I wanted to give her a special shout out because she was not feeling well. And she said, I may be able to give you an hour because I am getting over something. And she stayed for a full 2 hours. And actually, she got on time. So she's been for 2.5 hours. She's been rocking out with us. So she gets a round of applause before and after she says anything because I really appreciate you coming through.
Well, David, it is always my pleasure. You guys know I have such tremendous respect for you. Listening to the male perspective every time I'm with you guys, it's a pleasure to me. And the women, all of you ladies, it's just nice to speak to women in this manner. So many times I think women are not so nice to each other, and it's a pleasure. Obviously, Tribe Called Jess every Thursday now at 8:30, tribecalledjess.com and Tribe Called Jess, the #1 on Insta. And I think I named my podcast Tribe Called Jess because in 49 years, I've lived a lot of lives, right? And what a blessing that's been, and not always easy. And there's all these things coming at us all the time. And my grandfather died a year ago this May, and I took it so hard. And that's not to feel sorry for me. I'm so grateful. I had such a great grandfather. And he wrote, as he was losing his memory, he had just a tremendous career and a tremendous family and just all these great things that societally and everything are markers, right? But when we read it at the funeral, out of all this, he was married to my grandmother 69 years. And it's the one thing he said he did best, the one thing. And at the end, that's all that mattered. And keep that in mind.
That's what's up. Thank you so much. I definitely appreciate you coming up. All right. How about you, Jerk?
Once again, great show, Dame. I like how you always roll in the questions, with your topics and stuff. So, man, you're doing a great job moderating. I love the people that pull up on your panels too, man. We've been rocking with each other for a few shows now. Y'all definitely got great perspectives, great energy. So I definitely like the times we mess up. It's fun, even though we might go back a little bit, it's always that respect. So definitely learning a lot from you guys. You guys are definitely make me appreciate this marriage when y'all be talking about this dating stuff. I guess I'm too old for that.
I appreciate
that's it, baby. Thanks again.
Shout out your channel, Jerk.
Oh yeah, check us out on Manic Sophistication. We've been burning some books lately, doing some crazy stuff, smashing TVs, and we just talk a bunch of shit on there. So just tune in if you're bored and you want to waste some time.
All right, go ahead.
Oh yeah, also Thursdays on Will's channel, we do the Master the Mindset. Dame and them's all on there, so tune into that also.
Yep, I was gonna show some love. So go ahead, Manic.
Oh, great panel, great discussion. I like these topics. Always a pleasure, Dame. Gems dropped, learned a lot. So I like a little fuckery. So I talk my shit, but I really enjoy learning the most. And that's what I get the opportunity to do when I'm on a panel full of people like this. So appreciate you all. Follow me on IG and on the Manic Sophistication YouTube page as well. So like the jerk said, we'll be Jessica wants me to flex. I'm not gonna do it though. I'm thinking about it in my head. It threw me all the way off. Looking at
my shirt.
Yeah. No, I actually been cutting weight because I joined.
No, we're not gonna do that. No, finish your shit. No, we're not.
Where's that mute
No, we
button?
ain't gonna. You'll take us a whole double road.
I will.
Finish
He'll
your
be up
shit.
there like lathering himself up with
Wrap
baby
it up,
oil.
B.
Like, hey, I'm in a cutting phase, and
Wrap it up, B.
I appreciate y'all. I love the Manic impressions though. Good. That's the highlight of my night.
Yeah, I'll make mine super quick. Bitterness is just like anything. It's like a cancer. It metastasizes. It can get worse. It can grow. You have to cut it out. You have to exercise it in any way you can. The first way of exercising bitterness when it comes to relationship is just like how Saida said. You have to recognize what you did wrong. Accountability is the kryptonite of bitterness. If you take accountable for everything that you did wrong, and you can develop the skills and do the work to address it and fix it and make sure that those things don't permeate in your next relationship. Because the last thing you want a person want to do is be paying the tab for somebody else's meal. They do not want to have to deal with shit that they had nothing to do with creating. I guarantee you. And it's just going to lead your relationships down a path to nowhere. So if you find you got a relationship and you pretty much came out unscathed, take it as a lesson. Be like, woo, I don't have anything that could keep me the negative impact from that. Maybe some mental scars, but do the work that you necessarily need to do to absorb yourself as much of that bitterness, because it can block your path. It can be a roadblock to a better way of being, a better way of living, a better relationship, because we all deserve to be happy and in great relationships if that's what you choose to, or we need to just deserve to be happy in general. So yeah, if you're bitter, find ways to work through it, and don't make somebody else pay the price for somebody else's meal. All right. With that being said, I do this show every Tuesday at 9:00, unless I get lazy again, like I've done in the past, but it's probably going to be Tuesday at 9:00, different topics. Anybody who's ever come on my panel is 100% welcome to come on any panel we talk about. If you guys have a specific topic that you want us to kind of put something together for, put it in the chat, send me an IG at canigetsomepodcast.com. If you're watching this on the replay, if you haven't liked and subscribed, do so. Hit the notification button so you know when we're going on. But otherwise, I really appreciate all the love and support that we got today. And the chat was popping. Shout out to all the people that were in there. And I apologize for having the opportunity to acknowledge you, but I appreciate you. All right. So with that being said, we are out this boo.